one and all. Welcome to CC Podcast. You all are aware, like Campus Connection had recently started a CC podcast channel for the benefit of students who are looking out for their career. So we are connecting HR people with the students directly so that they can understand what is the expectation of a HR and they can prepare for the interview. Being a first session of the CC podcast, we are happy to introduce a person, a legend in the HR industry who holds about 25 years of experience, who is not only into the manufacturing industry, even though he is heading a team of 50 plus HR people in his company. In spite of it, he is also holds an experience into various verticals, right from ITES, IT, or non-manufacturing, BFSI, all sort of verticals. So I'm proud to invite Mr. Zulfikar Ali, who is a GM HR in AVT Leathers. Welcome, sir. Welcome to our show. We really thank you for
Thank you
your
so much.
for accepting our invitation in a very short notice and showing your presence over here.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad that I'm being part of the first session organized by Campus Connection. Hope I'll be able to answer the questions which would be helpful for the students.
Pleasure is ours, sir. So to start with, leather industry being a niche industry, most of the students are not aware there are scope even in that industry. When it comes to leather industry, the scope goes with leather engineers or maximum with designers or chemical engineers. So, can you just elaborate the scope for other engineering students like mechanical, ECE? Because being a client of us, we are aware that you also, recruit people from the other verticals. So, can you just let the students know about the scope of this industry, sir?
Very good question. I think it would have been more appropriate to hear this question probably a few decades back, where leather industry is not being known to the market. However, right now, industry is like any other manufacturing company, and we do have every department which involves expert department, because it starts from merchandising, design, and it goes to procurement, then it goes to production, then it goes to quality, then it goes to industrial engineering. So every department has a specialist which is required to make it function like a typical manufacturing industry. So every single stream in the education field has a scope in leather industry as well, not just in manufacturing or IT industry. Hope that would be the answer for the question.
Lovely, sir. So, what sort of expectation you have from a student on a recruitment perspective? How they have to, when it talks about leather industry, what is the expectation do you have with respect to the preparation of the students, how they have to prepare for their interview? What is the expectation from your end from a student?
I would split this question into two parts, because one is what is the expectation from the industry, and the other one is what is, as a HR, we expect from the candidates or the potential recruiter. This industry, both the state government and the central government have done enormous work to upbring this industry. The earlier situation of 2-3 decades back, where there were a lot of promotion which was required, a lot of support which was required. Now we have come to the state where we, as a leather industry, can stand alone and do a phenomenal job equivalent to any other organization or any other industry. So as a leather industry, what we expect from students is pure engineering mindset and the development and the interest what is required uh, to attract them to us. So in terms of engineering mindset, when we look at any candidate as a HR, what we specifically look at them is whether their interest and skills are matching or not. Most of the students would have taken up the stream without a foreseeing ability. They would have taken computer science, or they would have taken ECE, or they would have taken triple E. In fact, most of them would have taken whatever is available. I go to Anna University to hire leather technologists, and then the simple answer I get from them is we chose leather technology because it is a course available in Anna University campus. So, but in the period of 4 years of their education, what they really do is they develop their skill in the area where their interest lies. So connecting the interest and the skill set is what, as a HR, we do. So that's what we look at from the students as well.
So, my next question goes to you is like how they have to prepare for their interview, because any interview comes in, it starts with introductory round, then goes with aptitude, and then goes with technical. So when it comes to aptitude and soft skills or the introductory part, people prepare it on a whole. But when it comes to a technical round for a leather industry, it is going to be something different. It's not going to be something unique as you. So, what are the things which they have to prepare on for their interview?
Good. So what we really look at is, yes, of course, as any other industry, we have about 5 to 6 rounds, or in fact, at times it is going to be 6 to 7 rounds of interviews. This is the reason why any company, or be it the leather industry or manufacturing industry, does this is because for the benefit on the both sides. Any fresh student is mostly going to be shivering and scared about the interview, because we have this mindset. We are always scared of examination. We feel like somebody is going to examine us. So 6 to 7 rounds is going to allow them to settle down. And it is going to allow us to look at what is exactly their interest level, what is their skill, and put them in that domain or that department. Because we look at the basic intelligence level, not because we wanted to filter people, but because we wanted to see where can we fit this person inside, because recruitment is all about suitability and availability and suitability. Okay, so we are going to be saying what is available, where we can suit this kind of students, this kind of candidates. So that is why we have a aptitude test to check the basic intelligence of whether they will be able to mix with the crowd. And the second thing is, technically, we don't test too much in the leather industry for a fresher. What we technically test is, do they have engineering thought process? How good are they in their own stream, which they studied for last 3 to 4 years? That is a technical aspect which we test, rather than testing somebody in the leather. We don't give a leather and say, tell me what is this grade? What is the quality of leather? Because that only a leather technologist would be able to do. If they are good in their own stream, which is industrial engineering, a production, or a chemical engineering, or even a triple E, their own stream of technical knowledge is what we look at them, because we might need a lot of mechanical engineers, as this industry involves a lot of machineries. and lot of intelligent machineries, artificial intelligence is coming into place. Industrial engineering is required. So that is why we have so many rounds, and the simple expectation technically is whether they are good enough to understand technical aspect which they have studied for last 4 years, and do they have an engineering thought process. Hope that answers the question for all the students.
Mhm. Thank you. In fact, one of our students had asked a question, why aptitude test is conducted? Why not only technical? So you have answered the question well in advance, even before I could shoot it out. So, but still, there's another doubt or from the students when I talk about leather industry. The question which many students ask me is, will there be a scope of growth for me in this industry? Because, like, if it is going to be a leather manufacturing or a relevant knowledge, I'll be having a growth. But what would be the scope of growth for me in the leather industry? I'm talking about the non-leather engineering background people.
Good. So this is the most relevant question. Right now, the industry itself is changing to Industry 4.0. Okay, which means we as an industry have to revive and start growing. This is a lot of potential across the globe because it is, we are only thinking of leather as a skin. There is a lot more you can do with a leather. We are a largest leather goods manufacturing company in terms of handbags, leather goods, small leather goods, which is men's wallet or women's wallet, belt, footwear. Imagine wallet might die in few years, but bags, belt, and shoes it will become a primary requirement of any individual. So when the industry grows, automatically everybody who is employed in that industry will have a growth. And I'm a classic example of that. I'm not a leather man or a MBA by qualification. Okay. If I have just purely come into this industry with a HR mindset and started learning a leather at the age of 40. And then I realized this has a huge potential for the country as well as the students and who are joining us. Because this is a fashion industry which is not going to be, it would only keep revamping and revamping, and it will not, I don't foresee this industry.
What sort of technical knowledge should students gain to get into this industry? You already told me that let them expertise themselves into their own engineering vertical. Still, what for instance, you were telling me like there are a lot of requirement for mechanical engineers, and there are requirement for triple E and ECE. So, what sort of technical skill is being expected? Do you expect them to go with any designing part like AutoCAD or something like that? Or is the basic expectation from you in the technical part so that they can strengthen their skills and then, try to get into it?
There, specifically, the design part is being taken care by the designers who are specialized in designing creativity. After that is what our work starts. When I say our work starts, the engineers' work starts because it has to work as a team. Unless I don't have a mechanical engineer who sees a giant machine, which you wouldn't have seen anywhere in the globe, just making a leather seamlessly and making a product. If that machine have to be controlled, then we require that person to be strong in mechanics. And for improvement, any triple E or a ECE engineer would be able to think on improvements of the production and productivity. Here, the major thing why we are shifting from manual to missionaries is because of two reasons. One, man-made things will always have a quality issue depending on the mindset. And the time taken for making a product varies from human to human. When I say this, everybody has a question, then are you saying that this industry is going to be not having people only having missionaries? Not at all. In fact, AI is going to be generating more of jobs rather than cutting down jobs, which is a usual fear of every single job seeker, that our jobs are going to be taken away. Not at all. It is, in fact, going to grow much more, and all of us are going to be earning and growing far better than what we have seen in the past. That's my foreseeing ability and viewpoint for this question.
Fine, sir. Thank you for a precise answer, and it should be expectation from your not only you, it's an HR's expectation on a whole. So, one last question from my end is what would you expect from or a role as a role of a campus connection to improvise the students or to get more quality students to you? How can we bring in a better choice for you? Because I know an interview process is going to be a pretty tedious and a long-term process, even though campus uh, people, from the students' perspective, they are stressed out because of the preparation. And from the HR perspective, there are a lot of terms and conditions which you have to go. So, what would be a role of campus connection, which would be helpful for you to be a bridge between a HR and the students?
Good. I would say this is a more relevant question, Satya. Reason being, I can tell you, I have in last 2 decades seen that there is a huge gap between the campus and the company or a corporate. It is like a student or a kid starting to go to the school, then there is a huge change from home to school, and after that, from school to college. But all this has a connection. There is a big gap between the education, which is be it a theory or a practical education, and what we exactly function in a corporate. And that is why it always has a big gap. Most of the students are not able to cooperate or put them into the work. I always wanted to bridge that gap, and thanks to Campus Connection that you're doing the job. One advice for me is if we can change the education system, not as a whole, but the engineering and any other graduation or post graduation, if we incorporate the final semester or the last year, integrating the institute with the corporates or with the companies by organizing more industrial visits and more internships, which is going to be part of the curriculum. And they exactly know what is a company's expectation from an individual, because they studying at college, the relativity comes in only if they physically see the companies. They will have to come work for few weeks, for few months to really bridge that gap. And that will help the companies also, in turn, to find out a perfect resource. Because we study mathematics, we study chemistry. Okay, do we really apply that in the job? If you ask me, we might not apply that. That is only to make sure that we are aware that these are all the happenings which can happen around, be it physics or mathematics or chemistry. we have to make sure that the same is applied and they are physically seeing it. So to cut the long story short, I think more internship to all the industries, including the leather industry, by the students will help the students to really bridge the gap between campus and the corporate.
So thank you so much for your time and you spending your wonderful time sharing all your informations and all your inputs for the students. And definitely, I know it is going to bring in a very clear picture for their interview preparation, and it is going to bring in a lot of change. And it really values a lot. Thank you so much for being first guest for CC Podcast. And on behalf of Campus Connection, I really appreciate your presence. And we hope we join together and bring in more potential engineers, a bright life and a bright career. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad that Campus Connection invited me for this show. It is a pleasure talking about the industry and the students as always. And I know that Campus Connection is doing a good job in terms of hire and train, and which has been my dream for a while. I think that would really, really help the students to bridge the gap. All the very best for Campus Connections, and all the very best for all the students who are trying for jobs in any industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you.